don't see that. You just see that.
Yeah, and we're live. Hi, everyone. Thanks for dialing into our Facebook Live. We're here to introduce you to our new CEO, Dr. Claire McGowan. Welcome, Claire.
Thanks.
For those of you that are new to this, we're going to be online for about 30 minutes, diving into who Claire is and why we're so excited that she's the new leader of the PledgeMe's. So excited. And I have a few questions that we've pre-written for Claire, but we'd love your questions too. So if you're watching this and you have something that you'd like to ask, feel free, just jump into the comments and ask some questions, react with thumbs up, hearts, whatever you want to do. We really want our crowd involved in this. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Anna, and I'm the founder of PledgeMe and the chief bubble blower. Our lawyers used to refuse to put that on any official legal opinions though, so it's really great that we have Claire in now so we can appease them with a CEO. PledgeMe's been around for 8 years, helping people fund the things they care about. And the reason we've decided to bring in a formal CEO was to really add some fuel to our rocket ship, to give the team some more space and support to do things that they do really well, which includes me. Mel Templeton, our chair, was acting interim CEO for the last few while. And I just want like to say a really big thank you to Mel for being that interim CEO for the last few months. And then last year, after a long process of searching, we appointed Claire. And so she started last week. And one of the reasons I'm so excited about Claire starting is she's got a lot of experience, both starting and growing companies, all the highs and lows that you'd experience, which I think is really important for our founders. She really knows what they're going through because she's been through it too. So without further ado, Claire, would you like to introduce yourself quickly to people? Tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Yeah, thanks, Anna, and really appreciate this. So my background's a range of activities. I actually originally trained as a life scientist and then went into the finance world. I've, as you said, built and grown companies. I've worked on boards. I've worked with founders. I've worked with investors. And yeah, I'm really excited about the opportunity of bringing those experiences here and supporting you and the team with PledgeMe.
So exciting. So first up, like, how did you find out about the role and what made you decide that you wanted to come and work with us?
Yeah, well, I think so had seen the ad, and what I really liked was it's so unusual to come into this type of role where yourself as the founder, not only being female, aspirational, really changing things up, but is also looking to stay in the organization and assist with the growth of the organization. So I think that, but also the opportunities, the alignment with values, and a really lovely team have made it also attractive.
It's interesting that thing. Like, I think everyone keeps on asking me, like, what are you doing next? And I'm like, I'm not going. I really, really like having a boss. Like, this is good. Like, people are really confused. Because it's not as, like, some people do it. Like, Icebreaker, there was the swap between chair and CEO, but it's not often, hey?
Yeah, and I actually think it's possibly something we should talk about more. And I know in previous conversations I've had with different founders, it's certainly one thing I ask them to consider is, well, what role would you see yourself in as the organization goes through its next stages? And even just thinking about that, recognizing the different hats that you wear. So not only that founder hat, which is very, very important, but the employee hat, the shareholder hat, and possibly a director hat, and the balance and different aspects of those roles. And I know you've seen some of that.
It's been really interesting. It's been really great, like, have the ability to have those conversations of, like, how do we work together and how can this be collaborative, and what ways can we be clear about our different roles and what we're doing, but also, still, like, have discussions and make decisions and all of that. Like, I think it's really important, and it's not just that I'm leaving, I'm actually staying, but how is that gonna play out? So yeah, it's really exciting. So for those of you that are just dialing in, just so you know what's happening, my name's Anna. This is Claire. We're talking about the fact that she's my new boss, and it's really exciting to start running Pledge Me going forward. So, what do you like about crowdfunding, Claire?
Well, one of the things I like is in more recent times, it is taking its place alongside what are seen in more traditional forms of funding to take a venture forward. But really, the best thing I like about it as a separate way of raising funds for either a project or a venture is that it's really about that community. And one thing we've talked about multiple times, talking in the formation and growth of ventures, is that connection to their customer base, their community, those who are either excited or see the need for that particular organization or project need. So the fact that this is very much about not only connecting with your community or crowd, but also asking them to contribute financially is really exciting.
And they own you. So like it's such a different relationship. Like it's that sort of next level of engagement, you know. It's that community ownership, which is same for me. Like that's the exciting thing about the future. So if anyone is watching, please do feel free to ask any questions, make any reactions, share if you'd like, comment down below. So do you have any questions, Claire, for the crowd that's watching? Like, are there any things that you'd like to ask?
I think after us just talking about the benefits of the crowd, it's if anyone out there has something that they're really passionate or excited about, and what may be blocking them from taking it to the next stage. Very often the first hurdle is seen as that funding or financial support. And so, is there something that your crowd or community could get behind you to help drive?
What ideas does our crowd have out there, and how are they going to get them?
Yeah.
I like it. Mark Dobson, I believe one of our shareholders, has just said, "Welcome, Pledge Me High Commander." I think that's a new title. Do you think our lawyers would let that go on legal opinion?
I'm not sure.
Someone's going to have to call Rodney after this and ask him. So one of the things that I'm really excited about is we believe that you're potentially the first person with Maori roots to head an equity crowdfunding platform, and possibly one of the first Indigenous people in the world, which scares me because like we often think that maybe I'm the only woman leading an equity, or you're the only woman now leading an equity crowdfunding platform in the world. But why is diversity important to you? Is diversity important to you, and if so, why?
Yeah, I think well, one, nice to come in and support you, Anna, as well. But I think I totally agree. And it's really interesting that for a number of reasons, I'm quite honoured and humbled by this opportunity, but also the responsibilities that come with this role. For one, the diversity is just for others out there seeing people like themselves in these type of roles, to see that it's possible. That's a big thing. Is other Māori, other women, other Kiwis. There's a whole range of different connections that we have that they go, oh, that's quite feasible, that's possible, and then they can push ahead with their own projects. But related to that, really, diversity introduces a whole lot of different ways of thinking that really can strengthen an organization's strategy and how it grows and makes its place in the world. And so it's not just that diversity, it's our backgrounds, it's our experiences, and the way we think about things that we bring to the table. And I think there's so much strength in that, and I think we're starting to see in some of the more established channels that they're seeing the same.
Yeah, I mean, diversity can be harder because it's lots of different perspectives, but in the end, there's lots of research that shows that you build something better because it does take into account different perspectives and supports a wider range of people. So yeah, totally agree. So you started at PledgeMe 1 week ago, um, and you're still here. It's great. Um, so week one's done. What's been your experience so far?
Yeah, just absolutely delightful. I think it has been a huge volume of information. The team's amazing, incredibly smart, and really focused on service, which just has a lot of strong alignment with my values, which I think makes it such a pleasure. So yeah, I just think at this stage, a lot of questions, a lot of ideas, and just a lot of listening to understand about us as an organization as quickly as possible, really.
And what excites you? Like what either about what you're seeing right now within PledgeMe or about the future?
Yeah, well, I think those go hand in hand. I think, as I mentioned, we're seeing crowdfunding take its place and the options available for ventures or projects to secure the capital they need to either start or grow. And what we're seeing is this connection to community with so many aspects of either social, environmental, or economic activities that can be driven by a crowd rather than the pure financial benefits that
So
are seen normally with a venture.
so it's looking at lots of different things to measure, not just like GDP or financial return. There's other things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But also, like we've been seeing, okay, what impact on our society? What's the impact on our environment? And so we're seeing more of those social and impact driven enterprises coming through.
Yeah. Well, the growth of social enterprise, if you look at the UK, it's pretty astounding the number that are registered. And in New Zealand, it feels like, 5 years ago, people had never heard of social enterprise. And now it feels like people are starting to get that it's maybe a thing. And there's more and more people doing it, which feels really great. One of which is someone who just asked a question on our Facebook Live, Lonnie Evans, who says, welcome. What are you most excited about? I think you've covered, but what do you think the greatest challenge will be?
Yeah, I think for me, in week two, one of the greatest challenges is really getting up to speed as quickly as possible to be able to contribute for yourself and the team as quickly as possible. There's a lot of opportunity ahead. I think also, if we are looking at that continued growth in Pledge Me, there are particular challenges that come with that. And so making sure we're all aware of those. Yeah, so those would be the main ones I'd see right up front.
The growth one is really interesting. I was reading Let My People Go Surfing, the Patagonia book a few weeks ago, and I was so intrigued. Have you read it?
No.
So in it, Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia, basically said that at one point in their business, they were growing year on year. Things got really hard, and they decided to cap growth. Like they didn't want to grow more than 20% a year because they realized that if you grow too quick, it's actually really hard on your team and your processes. And actually, it's better to grow a bit slower, but do it well. And that was like revolutionary for me. I didn't know like you could do that. Like I thought the whole goal was grow quick, and that's it. Like I can't believe it. I didn't realize that recently.
Well, I think that's certainly a message out there, Anna, is that, grow quick. And then it's like, which metrics are you looking at, And so usually we look at revenue, sometimes it's team. So how many people are employed in the organization. I think some of the other conversations to be had is if we're looking at that very long term, possibly intergenerational organizations, it's possibly more a grow the profit of the organization, and so make sure it's really bedded down. And then so there's different ways that you can grow an organization, and I think that might be a book I'd enjoy reading as well.
I'm definitely gonna find you a copy. But that point around intergenerational organizations, I guess that probably, does that resonate with you as a concept? And can you explain a little bit more about maybe some of the work you've done in that area in the past?
Yeah, I think I've been really fortunate to spend some time working in one of the commercial companies on the board for my iwi, so Te Arawa and Ngāti Pākehā area around Rotorua. And we were the commercial venture owned by the trust, and the trust was responsible for a lot of the social, health, and environmental uh, activities for that area. And our role in the commercial venture was to utilize the assets we had to generate the best returns we could within our values framework, to allow the trust to do the activities that benefited um, beneficiaries for the trust. So I think that was a really valuable experience. I think that true connection and looking at the links between the assets and the results, the challenges in those conversations, I think those are really interesting. And then some of the decisions that are being made outside of that 1 year or 3 year or even 5 year time frame is something we're not talking about as much in what I would call that sort of mainstream finance space.
And I think it's so important, like we can't just be caught up in annual financial cycles and things like that if we're trying to actually shift the way people are doing things. And that's something for us. We always seem to be a year behind in our financial achievements. But like it takes time to move things forward and change things. So that's really exciting to hear. So I have a question down here that says, we need you to recommend something for people to read, either a book, an article, or a blog post that you think some of the doers and founders watching might be really inspired by. So,
yeah, well, one that's resonated for me actually for a long time is what's called the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. I just love, one, I love the way that he's written that. So have you read that book, Anna?
Years ago, and I remember really enjoying the time. And I think it's about processes. Is that what it is? Like
Yeah.
processes and yeah.
Yeah, and really one of the key messages is, if you're good at baking, it makes you a good baker. It doesn't necessarily make you somebody who's good at running a bakery. And that separation from the sort of entrepreneurial activity from the technician or that expert activity. And he just writes it in a really lovely way. It's something that for a lot of those who are just coming into this world and exploring something from usually driven by one of their talents, it's well worth them having a read. A blog I really like, and actually it's another book that I originally read, but now I follow the blog, is GTD, or Getting Things Done.
Yeah.
And it's just a lovely way, again, systems thinking, processes, but just that real action oriented approach to literally getting things done.
Do you listen to podcasts?
No, but I hear you're avid listener of podcasts.
So much. And I've been, I posted already about the Dolly Parton podcast. So if people haven't listened to it, like definitely really amazing. You can learn a lot. But the one that reminds me, the GTD reminds me of, is How I Built This. So it's all about how people get shit done and build different things and their stories doing that. And the one that I listened to recently that I really loved was the one about Allbirds. So, the wool shoes. And it was just so interesting because the founders made this comment that, when the things are going the best in the business from the outside were the times when things were the hardest, because actually getting things done is really hard. And like often success comes with like growth and pressure and drama and everything. And yeah, that really struck me as something as well. Like it's really important for founders to hear that like the shiny that you see on the outside isn't always what it feels like when you're doing those things. So heaps of people, we have a Dill is saying, love Claire. So happy to see her in this role in front. Thank you.
She's amazing. Just coming back to sort of those sources for books and things like that, Anna, one thing that I've found incredibly valuable is the online library resources. So if people haven't already been seeing what their local library can provide online, I mean, just so many of them I now just digitally download. There are magazines, including for their sector, available online for free through their library. Yeah, it's an
Overdrive.
incredible resource, and it's a really good way to reduce some of those barriers for people accessing the same amount of information where normally you may, be actually paying a substantial amount for some of those subscriptions or books.
And the great thing is you don't ever get any overdue fines because they just take the from you. Like that was my worst thing. I'd like have this stack of books that I forget to take back, and just the fines would rack up. I really, really love it, and I think it ties into that thing of if you're doing something or founding something, you sort of have to be curious about like how other people have done it and what other ways you could look at it, because often the best solutions to what you're facing isn't doing it the same way that everyone else has done it. If you want to do it differently, it's like, where can I learn from other areas or other perspectives? So definitely good. Do we have any more questions out there? We have quite a few watchers, not so many commenters, which is fine. But if anyone does have any questions, just get them through in the next sort of minute or so, and we can definitely get Claire asking them. I see a lot of friends watching. Hi, friends. But yeah, it feels like we're at this really exciting point in time. You've just started. We've got a lot of opportunities, both here in Australia, where I am, and in New Zealand, where you are. Is there anything that you need from our crowd? Like, is there any support or ideas or links or anything that you'd want to ask for right now from the people that are watching?
Yeah, I think so. We asked that earlier question from the crowd about, how their crowd could help them around some of their ideas. But secondly, I think, and there was the link that if they had any questions or feedback on how we could help them more and make their whole experience more pleasant, there are examples. I think the team is very focused on service and value for our campaigners and pledges, and we're doing what we can to encourage and increase that support at PledgeMe. But yeah, feedback's always welcome, right?
Feedback is always welcome. Quite a few of our campaigners got pinged last week as well, because there was a group of Finnish students doing a piece of research to try to figure out how founders could be helped more during the process of equity crowdfunding. And some really interesting things have started to come out of that. But it's definitely, yeah, if anyone watching has any ideas, like what do founders, like where are things feeling hard at the moment? What would maybe make it feel less hard? Or yeah, I think that sort of stuff is really important. Yeah, so we don't have any more comments or questions. We're done a little bit quicker than we planned, but that's okay. People can get off to dinner now and live their lives. But yeah, just to end by saying I'm so excited to have you on board, Claire. It feels a little bit like, when geese are flying and there's someone at the front of the team who's doing the hard work and making it a little bit easier for everyone behind them, leading the way. I feel like that's you're at the front of the V now. Is that a good analogy?
Well, it's kind of the inverse of how I kind of imagine the tramping analogy, where you lead from the back, right? And just all the shining stars just, continue to shine. And how can I support?
I like it. I think we need both of those analogies illustrated so we can discuss different leadership styles. But yeah, I'm just so excited to have you on board. I know the entire team is. Can't wait to work with you over the coming years, I'm imagining. And Just want to say that if anyone wants to get in touch with either me or Claire, jump in the comments or send us emails. Claire at pledgeme.co.nz or Anna at pledgeme.com.au. And yeah, let's do some good shit.
Lovely. And thanks so much, Anna and the team.
Thanks. Bye, team.